Welcome, fellow confidence crusaders, neuro nerds, and success equalizers. This is your podcast, Real Confidence. I'm your host, Alyssa DeVere, and I'll be sharing a bit of basic brain science, some surprising social secrets, and a touch of tough love. Why? Because I believe confidence is everyone's fundamental right and choice. So let's get to it. The information shared in this podcast is for general, educational, and discussion purposes only. We do not endorse or recommend any specific medical treatments, medications, or weight loss products. Always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional before starting, changing, or stopping any treatment or healthcare routine that goes beyond common good health practices. Thank you. Some of you are going to be very angry with this podcast, and I know that. But the ones that need to hear it, want to hear it, will appreciate hearing it. I'm doing this for you because I didn't realize how being overweight was really getting in the way of my confidence. I didn't realize it because I kept saying, body shape doesn't matter, but it was really bothering me. So I want to talk about something that I'm labeling fat noise. Now, for those of you who've heard of food noise, with some of the new medications on the market, the Ozempics, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Wegovy, the list goes on. Some of them, not all of them, have been credited with removing food noise from people's heads. I'm going to flip those throughout this podcast. I'll try not to. And food noise is that constant cognitive cycle in your brain that keeps reminding you, what are you going to do about your next meal? What are you going to eat? I'm going on a plane. Do I have enough snacks? It's like that constant annoyance about you got to eat, you got to worry about food. And whether or not you've ever had food insecurity or not, it's there. And not everybody has it, or not everybody hears it, I guess. I did. I didn't realize it. It was, that clean your plate, people are starving in some part of the world message all the time. And, what if you don't have enough to eat kind of thing. My parents weren't part of the Depression. Their parents were, but I don't think that was part of it. I don't know. I think it was just a focus on food and always being kind of, how shall I say, getting your share of it. I didn't even grow up in a big family. It wasn't like it was a problem to get my share of food. It was just always this, you gotta make sure you got something to eat, right? So that's food noise. But I'm talking today about fat noise. And fat noise is something that I created the phrase just because I'm like, I didn't realize how much was going on in my head all the time being fat. So here's the truth. I recently lost 40 pounds. I turned 60 and I was like, life's too short and I want to live the rest of my life not only feeling good mentally, but healthy. My knees were aching. I had issues with my feet, all kinds of things. And it was always me saying, it's because I'm fat. I snore, I'm fat. I can't do this because I'm fat. I'm not agile because I'm fat. I huff and puff up the stairs because I'm fat, right? It was just fat, 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 fat was always the answer. So 40 pounds gone now, which is a good amount of weight. I don't care how big you are in the beginning. It's still a good amount of weight, and I'm very proud of myself. Yes, I got help, but I needed help. I tried a lot of different things, and nothing was working for years and years and years. And reality is, I think a lot of people feel the same way. So fat noise, let's talk a little bit about what that is and why I'm talking about it today, because it had a direct line to my confidence. I was always a little heavy. I wouldn't say fat, but, always had a few pounds to lose in my day. And it just got worse over time, of course, after having children and menopause and all that wonderful hormonal transformation. I certainly put on more weight than was healthy. I used to be very active, a self-proclaimed gym rat, and stopped doing that. Actually, not even during COVID, but after COVID. And always, I'm too busy. There's always an excuse, right? And even though in my head I knew that was what was going on, it was easier to kind of just blame the achy knees, blame the busy schedule. It's just easy, right? I'm not doing this what I should. Now, I do eat properly, lots of it thanks to my husband, who is not only diabetic, so we watch all kinds of carbs and sugar stuff in our house, but because he's a great cook and makes some really great meals for us all the time that are really healthy. So that wasn't so much the issue as it was just carrying around all this weight that had accumulated all the years and not exercising it off, but at the same time not seeing any results when I did exercise. So, in fact, feeling pain and all that. So, when I finally turned 60, because I am so happy to be here, fully confident, I love to shop. I love to wear cool clothes. I love to feel good about the way I look. And I was like, screw it. I'm going on this some kind of medication. And it took 2 years now. I've been doing it for almost, probably the better part of 2 years with all kinds of medicines to find the one that worked at the right dose. It's been a long journey. And in many ways, it's like a pound or 2 pounds a month. It's not a pound a week, it's a pound a month. I'm not one of these people who started and all of a sudden the weight, melted off. No, 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 no. It took a long time. But here's where it was biting me in the ass for 60 years. Not only shopping, I would have to go right to the extra large sizes, and I would get frustrated that they didn't have whatever it was I wanted in my size, or it looked like, a balloon, or it just, I would say, look at the smaller sizes. They're so much cuter. They're so much nicer. There's so much more variety. I hated the way I looked in pictures. I wouldn't even look at pictures. I'm a speaker. I'm a CEO. I get my picture taken all the time, and I couldn't even look. Because in my first reaction, yeah, I look fat. Look at the fat. I wouldn't see anything else in the picture except how fat I was. I would worry in full transparency about how others would perceive me. I know that there is a negative bias to being people who are fat. And I'm not talking about somebody thinking I'm sexy and worth having sex with. I'm talking about just the respect and the credibility on stage in a meeting. And all of that was playing in my head. As much as I was trying to tuck it away and be my confident best, all of that was not just poking, it was like overtaking my confidence. And now I realize it. Now I see it. I see all that fat, or I hear all that fat noise that was there. And I know I blame myself, right? There is this sense of I have no self-control. This is something I can control and I don't. So all that guilt, all that blame and shame, all those excuses for why my body was screaming at me, my knees, my feet, things that were telling me, girlfriend, you're fat, do something about it. And I was in this terrible cycle. I wasn't sleeping well. I'm fat. Snoring, right? I mentioned that. Horrified to find out that I was snoring. And of course, my excuse was because I'm fat. Now, after losing the weight, not only are all those things better, right? They're all better. I can go into a store. I'm now shopping in the medium section, large section at worst, but that's pretty cool. That makes me feel good. I'm wearing sizes I haven't worn since I was probably in high school. It's amazing. I am feeling really good to the point where now I am realizing how much of that fat noise was killing my confidence. I walked onto a plane the other day, an airplane, and it was Southwest, where you get to pick your seat, right? So you're not pre-assigned seat, but you're pre-assigned a boarding time, so a section. And I was, of course, one of the last sections, as for some reason I always am. I have great luck with parking, not such great with boarding planes. And as I'm getting on the plane, all the front rows, all the first couple rows on the window and the aisle were fat people. The middle seats there were open, and I think they knew damn well that it would be the last seat that people would take, not just because it was middle, but because it was a really squishy middle. And I thought, I wonder if they even bought, they probably had to upgrade to get those priority seating, that priority boarding, because they didn't want to have to deal with squishing into a middle seat themselves. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that per se. But for me, I do know that when I would get on a plane, I'd be like, okay, I got to open the seatbelt the whole way to get this thing on. Embarrassing. Somebody's going to squish next to me. Embarrassing. Even that was noise in my head. So again, for those of you out there that are suffering from that kind of situation, I hear you. I feel for you. And you may be mad at me now that I'm acknowledging it. But here's the thing, the reason I do these podcasts, the reason I'm doing all the work on the confidence space is when we recognize things that are against what we want to stand for, who we want to be, when we take a stance, when we do something about these things, even if it is taking a medicine or getting surgery, for crying out loud. There's people that, you look at and you're like, get some surgery, right? Get that thing taken care of, whatever it is. When we take ownership and action, it makes us feel better. If we choose not to take action, fine. We're making that choice very consciously and we're saying, you know what, I'm cool with the way things are. I don't want to do the other thing that would change it. Right? So it's taking agency of what's important for you. That's always the bottom line. So I want to take a very quick break for our sponsors because when I come back, I am going to just ask you some questions for you to assess. Do you have fat noise or maybe some other kind of noise in your brain that you are pushing around to a different place so you don't have to deal with it, but subliminally or maybe very clearly, it's killing your confidence? All right, we'll be right back. Want to level up your confidence, your career, maybe even your coaching? Well, then head over to AmericanConfidenceInstitute.com. E-classes are there as well as our coaching certification program, and you don't need any coaching experience to do it. However, if you are an experienced coach, you can get ICF and SHRM continuing credit. It's fast and easy. If you work in an organization, consider bringing in a kick-ass keynote or a uniquely engaging workshop. We also have team learning programs, and they all apply to both your personal and professional life, which makes them really special. They're great for ERGs, the leaders, the member programming, or really any type of professional learning and development in your organization. So give us a holler at www.americanconfidenceinstitute.com. All right, this has been very self-deprecating in some ways, but also very honest podcast. And not to say that the other ones weren't, but in reality, this was really hard for me to admit to myself. And I'm hoping that for those that are listening that feel the same way, you're going, yeah, I feel that way too. Or maybe you didn't realize you felt that way and all of a sudden going, holy shit, right? So how is fat noise or some kind of other noise in your head impacting confidence? And to identify it, I think that we need to not only realize what's making us feel guilty, because guilt is the opposite of confidence. It is that feeling that we are not respecting ourselves, that we're doing something that's counter to what is important to us, our values, our needs, and our wants. So if you have too much weight on, what are you going to do about it? I know it's easier said than done. I put it on my New Year's resolution list every year, and after a while, it gets kind of old seeing it there that every year after year. But we know what these things are most of the time. So what are you going to do about it? And if you decide that you don't want to do anything about it, or you can't do anything about it for whatever reason, financially or religiously or emotionally, whatever it is, be honest with yourself. Say, that's the way it's going to be, and I'm going to just move on. Now, again, I know this is easier said than done, but it's important to acknowledge the things that are causing this noise in our head, this silent killer of our confidence, and at least say, I hear you, I see you, and I am going to control you. I'm not going to let you control me. So think about it. Have you been putting off some kind of, again, some kind of a surgery or procedure, some kind of a situation? Maybe you need a vacation. Maybe you're so exhausted that you're like, I really need a vacation. Take the damn vacation already. Stop putting it off. Stop feeling guilty because that guilt is killing your confidence, and your confidence shows. It shows in your decision making. It shows in how you show up in the world, and it certainly affects everybody around you. So, whether it is getting on a semaglutide, getting some kind of a surgical thing, seeing a doctor, taking a vacation, buying yourself some new clothes because your clothes are just old and too big, whatever it is, I'm giving you not just permission, I'm encouraging you to figure out what's rattling around in that brain and finally say, we're dealing with it or we're choosing not to. All right? Let me know what you think. These podcasts sometimes, I don't know who's out there listening because it's hard to track, but I'd love to hear from you and love to get some feedback on any and all, especially this one. Take care, my friends. Live confidently, and let's get rid of that stupid noise in our brain that tells us otherwise.
Before we totally wrap up, I want to let you know that full transcripts and show notes for this and other Real Confidence episodes can be found on www.americanconfidenceinstitute.com/podcast. I also want to remind you once again that the best way to get confidence is to give it to others, and you can do it just by liking and sharing this episode on your preferred podcast and social media channels. You can even give me some confidence by noting topics you'd like me to consider for the future. So for now, this is Alyssa DeVere. Thank you for helping to bring more confidence to the world. Master editing done by Ben Weinstein with original music performed and composed by Jeff Mitchell. Real Confidence is a production of American Confidence Institute. All rights reserved.